stand, join us in the invocation given by Mrs. Clement and the pledge by Mrs. Peters. Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
you may be seated. I'll just quickly go over the notice of meeting guidelines. Any person who desires to appeal any decision made by the school board with respect to any matter considered at the above notice meeting will need a record of the proceedings, and such purposes may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made. Such record includes the testimony and evidence upon which an appeal may be based. Prior to the school board voting, the public is at liberty to speak in regards to the particular item on the floor. Comments not pertaining to items on the agenda will be heard under general public comments, and please limit public comments to 3 minutes. And if you wish to speak, there is a card back at the table where you signed in that you would need to complete and give to Ms. Carla. So our first item on the agenda, 2.1, approve the minutes of the February 5th, 2026 Lake County School Board regular meeting at 9 a.m. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I made that motion, I read them, you good?
I'll second. Motion by Mr. Lucky, second by Ms. Drake. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Item 2.2, approve the minutes of the February 5th, 2026 Glades County School Board Budget / Policy Workshop and Executive Session at 1 p.m.
I move to approve. Second.
Motion by Ms. Drake, second by Ms. Clement. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Very good. Okay, item 3.1, the Moorhaven Middle High School's FBLA presentation. We were notified that that has been pulled. They will be doing that at a later time. So we will move on to item 4.1, new elementary / renovation. And Mr. Bressett, you're up, buddy.
I'm up, all right. So, new elementary is coming along very well. All our cameras are now up and running. We, as of today, the buttons to allow people into the back office, they're all working, so we're gonna have people in there. We're still working on swipe access. We're almost there. We're looking to make cards now for people. Also, with the access to the gates, we are almost there. We have we installed these new phones that will show the cameras and stuff like that, so that if someone pushes the button at the gate or at any of the I guess maybe the walking gates as well. It rings in the front office, you can see who it is, and you can decide whether you're gonna let them in or not. We also are putting the gates on timers so that in the morning at 7:30, the back gate should open up now, and by 8:20 it should close. I'm looking at Mr. Thomas to make sure that's happening. He's the IT guy. As far as the renovation, they pretty much gutted the 5th and 6th grade building, you call that, or recently it was used for pre-K and kindergarten. They've taken, I think the final thing right now is they're taking the air conditioning ducts out and replacing all of that. We're taking the lights down in the Ritchie building and the gymnasium part of that, because we're replacing the lights in there with the newer lights. As far as the old elementary school, on Monday, they're going to start the asbestos abatement. They did find, well, there has been asbestos in that school for years. It's been covered because it's either underneath tiling that's been sealed, or it's actually in partitions. And once you break apart the partitions, then there's some asbestos in there. So the abatement should take until Wednesday or Thursday, and then starting the next Monday, so that's a week from Monday, we should start demolition on the old school. So people keep asking, when's that gonna happen? I wanna be here, I wanna see that. It's gonna start, it should start on a week from Monday. And
Shall we make a week?
yeah. Well, and I talked to Mr. Thomas, we're thinking about maybe doing a fundraiser and bring some bleachers over so that people can watch the demolition.
Hamburgers.
Yeah, selling some hamburgers, on the side and stuff like that.
Who's gonna cook 'em?
That's,
You said you were.
when I talked to the construction people today, they said that really it's gonna take about 2 months, really, to clear everything off that property. There's no, you think, oh, we'll just tear it down and put it back in trucks and take it off. Well, they tear it down and then they have to sort it, because some pieces go here, some pieces go to another area. So we're looking right now at really having a finished product by around May 1st. That's what our end date is.
I think we need to come up with a name for that building. The one that you always say the forfeits or
Yeah, I'm all for it.
pre-K or whatever, you know, it's like we don't know what to call it, maybe we could call it the new office building.
Well, the fish number on it is 9,000.
Okay,
So, the Ritchie building is 8,000 and that building is 9,000. So, we can call it the 9,000 building, and then you're gonna say, which one's that? But, yeah, the one that's being renovated for the district office is the most, and that's what that one is.
Any other questions for Mr. Gressa? Thank you very much.
Sure
We're
thing.
excited to see progress.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, item 5.1, public comment on agenda items. Do you have any cards, Carla? Alrighty, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Item 6.1 through 6.5. Are there any of those items that we need to pull?
I would like to pull 6.1. Just because, I want Jay to explain over some of the details about it with me.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve items 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Pierce, motion by Ms. Pierce, second by Ms. Clement. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. And so we're gonna go back up to item 6.1, the approval of subcontractor agreement. Amendment number 2 to subcontract number QL223 between Central Florida Behavioral Health Network, Inc. and the Lades County School District.
So
That was a mouthful.
I move to approve. Second.
Motion by Ms. Drake, second by Ms. Clement, and so,
Discussion.
you have a presentation for us, or are you waiting for questions?
I'm just waiting for questions.
Okay, discussion time. Crystal?
Okay, I just wanted kind of a quick overview of why we're doing this, and I see the amount went up. And I just, several years it didn't go up, I just kind of wanted to explain what's happening.
So this is a contract agreement that we have with a managing entity that allows us to fund part of our mental health services in Glades County School District. So we are able to have a mental health specialist at every single one of our schools because of this contract. It pays for those salaries. And so this amendment is, adding a carry forward amount from our contract amount last year. So last year, there was a remaining balance from that contract amount, and they are allowing us to use that this year to.
Remaining credit
Kind of,
balance?
yes, yes. Because the contract amount is based on billable services. So it's not just because it says that amount, doesn't mean we're automatically gonna get that amount. We have to bill, and then they pay us monthly for however many services we provided. And so last year, we had a credit left, and they're allowing us to add that to this year's contract to recoup for this year.
So that's good news.
Mhm.
Okay, so it looked like to me that was a price increase, so that's why I wanted you to.
Yeah, no, it's all money that we as a district will get back based on the services that we provide.
Any other questions, comments, discussion? Okay, I will, let's see, we already have a motion and a second, so all in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. For being here and answering our questions. Moving on to, the action agenda, item number 7.1. We are being asked to approve the MOU between Blaze County Teachers Association and Blaze County School Board for additional supplements for 2025-2026. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second. Motion by Ms. Clements, second by Ms. Pierce. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 7.2, approval of changes in human resources, hires, resignations, transfers, and/or supplements. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Ms. Pierce and second by Ms. Clement. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. And it was unanimous. Item number 7.3, approve, ratify, and confirm the declaration of property surplus and disposition of obsolete and excess equipment from the former Moorhaven Elementary School pursuant to Chapter 274 Florida statute. Do we hear a motion to approve?
So moved. Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Pierce, second by Mr. Lucky. Is there any discussion?
Dr. Malcolm, would you mind going over the documents that were provided?
I provided you with the statute, board policy, and then my responses to your questions. And to answer why we are just now seeing this on our board docs, is that was, if you were going to recall, we are about 4 to 6 weeks ahead of time where we would have been. So we weren't gonna begin the demolition, we moved everything up. So we got a call about, gosh, I can't remember the exact date, but we got a call and said, hey, we really would like to go ahead and get everything out of there. And you think we can make it happen? And we said, yeah, we'll make it happen, because we didn't wanna lose our spot with, in the process, so, we got to work, and that's where we are.
Okay, I do have a couple questions. There were questions about the receiving of funds for the items, and it showed that they were receipted in the general fund. And I think Ms. Trey brought it up, that we just wanna make sure that everything is, I don't remember what fund you said.
I was hoping it could go in general fund, but I wasn't sure, and I wanted someone to check on that.
But it did say it went in general fund, I just wanna confirm and make sure that the funds were received correctly and that where they are so that the public could have documents.
So the public, I don't understand the public can have documents, what do you mean?
Just know that where it was
Deposited.
deposited, yes, I'm trying to get words out of my mouth.
So are you asking me, can the public go and ask if a certain amount was put into general fund?
Well, just making sure that the general fund is where it's supposed to be. The last meeting, we had a question of where it's supposed to be.
No, and that might be a Mr. McKinley question, like it's capital, so do we have to put it back in the capital funds, or can it?
I don't know the rules on that. yeah, those are in the rules, not the statute, and it depends on what the original source of funds was. I accuse Mr. Radeball of knowing more about that than I do.
It's.
He's probably looked it up.
No, if you use the funds and you get the use out of it, then you're gonna go back into the general fund. That's appropriate. If it still had an asset value left, then that remaining asset value would have to go back to whichever place you bought from. For instance, if you buy land for $100,000 out of capital outlay, and then you sell the land for $200,000, the $100,000 gets to go back to capital outlay, but the other $100,000 gets to go to, I hope that makes sense.
Okay. So the items in the cafeteria, those wouldn't go back to food service?
Can I have the like outlay in the beginning?
Maybe not, when the food service.
None of
Speak up,
what
ma'am.
was,
Yes.
sold, that when we went through it, we went over all fixed assets. Carla went through line by line, myself, Ron, Dan, Martha, everyone that's been involved in that. Carla went through, checked it, made sure it was on the fixed asset, and then, she has with her tonight, do you have it with you? Okay, she has a fixed asset list, and if you wanna see that, you can. I also have with me, a copy of every purchase that was made at the school, they're all pictures. Also, there was some pending sales that, have not occurred yet, but they're still in the process, so if they do get sold as we're anticipating, then you'll see that on the next, the next meeting as well. But we didn't put this out on board docs because some of these people might not want people seeing what they're purchasing. So, but you're welcome, I have a staff if you wanna go through them. We also wrote on there who purchased, and this is the fixed assets, and you can see there's thousands and thousands, and we went through these, that this is already completed. Also, we went through the process that it is called for in the statute. We, offered it to county, city, groups if they wanted them. No one from Glades County wanted them, or the city wanted them.
Any other schools as well?
Correct. And, the Hendry County Parks and Recs actually bought all of the playground equipment. And they have, I wanna compliment them because they've done a phenomenal job of coming in and they're taking it out professionally. And they're not just jerking it out and leaving big holes or whatever. They are actually going through and, making sure it's all done correctly. So, once again, you're welcome to look at this. We also have in your board packet, you also have a, list of all items that we sold. So it's all there.
And Mr. McKinley, everything that we have documented and is good for, audit concerns?
As far as I know, yeah, I've never seen one document like this before. My knowledge of the process is, on the agenda, we say, get rid of all that old stuff, and then administration does what they do. They follow the statute, about going through the order of local governments and nonprofits and all those things, and it's a relatively informal auction. And at the end of the day, you hope that you don't have to pay anybody to haul it. That's some.
Restore it, since we
Or
have
take it
to
to
restore it.
Yeah.
Anything else? I would like to say thank you to Carla and Dr. Barfield and Mr. President and Mr. Thomas and anybody else that helped with that because they spent hours
That was a big
of hard labor, I think, going through that stuff and making sure that everything, was taken care of properly. And I know West Glades School came and got a whole bunch of stuff that they're gonna utilize, and the high school took some things. And, at least it's not going to a landfill. That was my concerned that there was so much stuff left in that school that were just gonna be sent to the dump. And I'm happy to see it sold and us recoup a little bit of money for the sale of it. So thank you. I called some names. If you worked over there and I didn't call your name, thank you anyway. Very much, very much.
We actually had, one of the people that, she actually is a teacher in our, district who bought quite a bit of stuff, and she sent us a picture of one of the cabinets that she had purchased, and she turned the cabinet vertical instead of horizontal the way it was, and it made the most amazing, like, she keeps sending us pictures of things she's doing with the stuff, and it's like, oh gosh, why didn't I think of that? So, thank you.
It amazed me that, because I went over there the last day, I think it was the last day they were getting rid of the final things, and saw how some people had literally taken things that were mounted on the wall, dismantled them to take them home and use them for something else. I was like, I never would have done that. But it, one man's trash is another man's treasure, right?
Well, I appreciate it.
I'd like to call you out, but there's somebody in this room that might, have a.
Redid the whole, not nursery, but the grandkids room, Solid Morning Elementary.
Mike and I were sick that we didn't need a new slaughterhouse. So we could use just about everything else.
Actually, so just to update the board, there are two things that are pending, and if, after the meeting, if you wanna look through this and look through all the things, and everything is documented, but, the trailers, and they're not trailers, let me get that right, those are modular homes, and the walk-in cooler. So we had someone that bid on them, or no one bid in the closed bid, no one at all, zilch. So after the sale was over, after that day, they asked, they were like, have y'all sold the trailers the cooler? We said, no, make an offer. So they made an offer. Well, they were very excited about it, and they were gonna buy it, and they gave us a great price for it. But because it is a modular home, and it's not a trailer, there's no title on it. Carla spent, I don't know how much hours after work and during work trying to figure it out, calling title companies, because who originally had the trailer, they're out of business, of course. And so we told the guy that was the young man who was wanting to purchase it, look, our attorney says that all you need is to bill a sale from us and you can move it off the property. Well, they wanted to put it in a lot here in the city of Moore Haven, and as of today, they just said that they're not responding, or we're not able to do this because they're saying that they've never had anything like this before. So I don't know if they're gonna back out or what they're gonna do, but they were very, very sad because obviously that's gonna be bulldozed. And they were gonna use it they actually were gonna bring a business into Glades County with it. So, it's really sad to me that we couldn't, get some power.
Is it on wheels?
It would be a trailer, it is, and we even offered, because we're in a time crunch, because of everything gonna be knocked down, we even said, until we can get the proper, whatever the city needs, we'll put it over on our overflow parking over in front of the elementary. But the young man that's going to buy it said, well, my concern is I get it over there, and then I don't get permission, and then I've spent all this money, and I'm out all this money. So hopefully we can work something out. I think we've said he's got till Sunday, because really after Sunday, once they start doing the for the asbestos and all that, once that starts, no one can be on campus. We don't. And I know Ron, was joking about having, a stadium over there where everybody can watch, but really and truly, that is so important that we keep that closed off, that nobody goes on property. So.
They can't go through like lost title?
There's not a title. Carla, would you like to tell what you?
And what it is once you move it to, like, they build it on site in, Traveris, I say it wrong all the time, but they built it, and then once it becomes here, it becomes real property.
A structure.
So then I called the title company in LaBelle were so nice, they helped me so much and they didn't charge or anything. But they said, what did it, you just have to have the bill itself. It's like if you bought a house and you wanted to move it, you could do that. But I guess in the city of Moorhaven, nobody has ever bought a house to move. So they're not really sure how to, from my understanding, how to do that. Like if you bought a house that, say you're trying to save a house.
Like the little wooden ones.
Yeah, like
they're putting them in the
then you
backyard.
just move it to a different lot. That's pretty much what we're doing. You're gonna move this
That's exactly
to
right.
another lot, but it just hasn't been done in city of Moorhaven.
Just wanna clarify something too, about the bleachers and stuff. Yes, we can do the bleachers, we're not gonna do it, but, the abatement will happen Monday through Thursday. After the abatement's done, then we can go back on the property. Actually, it's a construction zone, so if we go back on the property, we're supposed to wear a hard hat and all those kinds of things. It's not, there's no danger to anybody after that, by any means. So really, if they hadn't taken the portables out by this Sunday, there's another window, a very short window, because, and just, so you know, I mean, the portables were included in the price of the demolition. So that's, if we make money, that's great. If we don't sell those, if we do sell those, we actually get money from the sale, and also that's less that they have to take away, so we save money that way for a special.
So anyway,
It was a $10,000 sale though, and it's quite, that would be really nice for us to put, and have in our general fund, but I don't know, there's nothing that we can do
well,
unless,
there's other places that have, so we should be able to get that information and see if we can.
it's in the city of Moorhaven's hands, we
Really,
really,
I see houses going down the road all the time.
yeah, but those are trailers, this is.
No, homes that people are moving.
Okay. I don't know, like I said,
Like the series of Roebuck homes, remember,
Uh-huh.
there's a couple of them in Glades and Okeechobee County. I see there's homes going down the road.
Yeah, I think the sticking point is no title.
No, they just need a bill of sale. That's what the title company told me, that's it. It's the sticking point is they've just never had that, is what we were told. They've never done that in the city of Moorhaven. They're just not.
So
They're
that's
not,
why,
they're not
They don't
familiar
want
with
to
it. They're just-
cooperate because they've never done it before.
so let's find
That's not a
out.
good reason.
No,
I'm just concerned that there's gonna be a lot of people that weekend from
Well-
Reagan, and they're gonna be parking right there, and that's.
So, and I talked to the construction company about that as well. If they were moving those, like they moved them by Sunday, they would have to take some fencing down in order to get in there and get them out. I've already talked to the construction company, they'll either put the fence back up, or they'll put, the portable fencing that like they used around the new elementary school.
But I also wanna give a special shout out to Carla, because the person that was going to buy the trailers is going to be giving a cash donation in her name, because he said of how friendly she was and how helpful she was. And he actually told me, he goes, I'm gonna offer her job, and I said, well, I might fight you on that one, but, so it does pay to be nice sometimes, but I will tell you, I don't wanna give up, because it's $10,000 A, and B, like Ms. Promont said, it's gonna go into
it's gonna cost us more than that.
a landfill.
So who is that we need to talk to, the city council, Mr. Tibbs?
I don't think Mr. Tibbs is, I don't know, I would assume that maybe if we talk to Mr. Tibbs, and we did try to reach out to them.
Department, they're just, nobody really wants to.
Well, we need to Google it and see what other counties do or states. How counties,
But you
How
have
do they
the
do
answer.
Okay, wait, he has the answer, never mind.
No,
Oh.
you have the right answer that the bill of sale will do the job. The hurdle is
how do you
convincing
move it, and
the
how do you
city of
get it?
Moorhaven that it's okay.
But it's not moving it now, that's not the issue, because the bill of sale will work. He wants to put it in a lot that he owns to run a business out of, and they're not, that's the catch.
It's the zoning of the law.
No.
It's a matter
You can't-
of, does
you
he
can't-
wanna fight the
You
process?
can't title it as homemade?
I said, they should, you know, after listening to everybody, it's a matter as if this gentleman wants to fight the process, and I would fight it, because, and I don't know what the building and zoning department's like in the last 10 years, I just know what it's been like when I've had to build them. And one of the things is they just don't know, and they don't answer, and they don't give you answers, and people wanna march on. So, I feel bad for this gentleman, but it's not.
I think we've answered all the questions regarding this item on the agenda.
Well, I had a question
Okay.
in general.
Okay,
I want to clarify one thing from Ms. Strick. When they do the demolition, we're assured that, the construction or the demolition company will come in to the east gate and front gates. And they'll start actually in the middle of the school, and they'll work to the south, and they'll work to the north, and then, because they'll be stopping in between and they're sorting. And during that time, those gates will all be closed, everything will be fenced off. So really, the demolition is gonna be away from where the challenge grounds are, or areas are going to be. I mean,
I was talking about the barn.
yeah,
The
and that would,
kids being in the barn.
yeah, that's not be a problem with the demolition part. That would only be a problem if the fence is down in front of the.
Mr. Lucky has something he wants to.
Well, I have a question based on the specificity of the actual item. Chairman, did anybody contact you, phone or in person about, say, there was a problem with what was happening?
No, I was not contacted at all.
I wasn't either. Mrs. Drake?
Other than the people that were in the audience at our last meeting, there were 2 people in the audience that were coming about it. But no one called me on the phone, no.
Oh, you don't wanna ask me, yes.
Well, what I don't get is that the number of people who went were not many, and that's documented, but you heard from a lot of people that there was a problem. That's what gets me, is and I wonder, I don't know if there's a problem or not. I mean, I know you feel there is, because you voiced what people said, but was there a problem?
Well, that's why I requested this item, the next item to be on the board docket, so that anything and everything of transactions that were published, transactions that were made would be documented for the public to see. And, if they had any questions, they could question that, but that we would be as transparent as possible so that it could be available and documented in case there were any questions to come back on audits.
Do you feel they'll be satisfied?
We'll see.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I would just like to say, if they're not satisfied, then they need to come see me personally.
I personally find it disheartening that whoever all these people are contacting one board member and haven't contacted any other board members or our superintendent or our directors. It makes me question what the agenda is, I guess, of those people.
Especially when we went by the law.
All right, I think we're ready to vote. Sorry, Patty. All in favor of approving this declaration of property surplus and disposition of obsolete and excess equipment?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Unanimous. All right, let's move on to item 7.4, approval to acknowledgement of proceeds from sale of surplus and disposition of obsolete and excess equipment from former Warhaven Elementary School. So I guess I just want to clarify, it sounds to me like we're approving that we acknowledge it. Is that what we're asking?
It has to do with the receipt of the money and trying to get it to go into the right lines. That's the idea there.
So I will entertain a motion.
The pending sale of the $10,000, so that's what I said about the trailers. And if that is made, if that sale is made, then I'll bring that to the board for the next time, yes.
It is on the bottom as a pending 10,000 with the group
Right.
purchase also, so if, what was the group one?
$15,616. Plus the 10,000 pending for a total of 25,616.
There were two items on
Outstanding.
Yes, the playground, and that was because it had to go before their board as well, and they would write us a check, and we did give approval for them to write us a check. So,
Okay, I don't think we have a motion yet.
Yeah, Patty made a motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Pierce, second by Mr. Lucky. Now it's time for discussion. Any other discussion?
I just have one thing, so it would be the 25 with all confirmed, and then we would know once it's in the general fund where it would need to be dispersed from there, if it does need to go to food service or any of the other items,
no, it will go in general
it
fund.
all stays there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all.
And is the public, are they able to see this amount? That we see, that's on the public.
I mean, it's on board docs, so if they wanna see it on, is that what you mean? And here?
Yeah, sometimes they can't see all the things, right?
Oh,
This is public, okay. Okay.
Alright, any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Item 7.5, approval of food services procurement contract between Gordon Food Service and Grace County School District, March 1st, 2026 through March 1st, 2027. I heard a motion by Ms. Pierce, second
I'll second.
by Ms. Straight. Any discussion?
Yes. I'm really good to do.
Mr. Thomas, you want to come up to the podium?
Would you be able to repeat that, ma'am? Somebody was talking in my ear.
It was not me.
Explain to me what their services are.
Okay,
For us.
as you know, we purchased the bulk of our food from a food services company. Last fall, we took a look at some numbers and realized that we were spending an exceptionally large amount of money simply on shipping. That was the nature of the agreement we had with Cisco. We looked into opening that up for another bid, and it was a very long and arduous process, and years came off of my life. However, we got a bid from Gordon Food Services that is better. We are getting a better deal from them, the better food and a better price. So,
You said better, so it is quality.
yes, ma'am. Oh, it's outstanding food. And so the goal here was, of course, to just make our food services more efficient and still provide a high quality meal to our students, and I feel like we're gonna do that. So if you guys will approve this, we can start within March 1st and hopefully stay there until I retire.
We'll still be preparing food in our cafeterias.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This is not a catered, or this is not a company that comes in and takes over. Mark Wilson is still cooking from scratch. I would encourage you guys to start looking at our menu that we publish, because I looked at it today and I was like, wow, this looks like a restaurant, so. He's doing a great job working hard.
Mr. Thomas, would you share with the board what you shared with me on the phone today about where the food service is, as far as being in the black or the red?
We are still operating in the black. We are still, getting more in reimbursements than we are spending. And so, not only are we feeding our students healthy, high-quality meals, we are also doing it under budget.
And I commend you for that. Thank you very, very much.
I need to say that Mark Wilson is doing that.
Tell him I commend him on
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
And HPS is Gordon,
Yes, HPS and Gordon Food Services are essentially the same thing. I think HPS is a parent company for them, so.
Yeah, that was confusing.
Yeah.
Me too. I was
Right.
like, did I get two bids? What? I had to call him because I was confused. I cheated.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? Thank you, Mr. Thomas. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vote is unanimous. Item 8.1, general public comments, do you have any, Carla? Okay, then we'll move on to our superintendent's report.
All right, just a couple of things that I wanted to bring to your attention. I know there's been some conversation about, you know, it's Glades County, so it's small, you say something to one person, it gets around. But we're in the beginning processes. If you hear from constituents about, you know, us selling property or whatever that is. Right now, we're in the beginning stages of that. You know, we have to find out what things are gonna appraise at, you know, we have to look at standing leases that we have to even know what it is that we might be considering selling, if we even have to sell a piece of property. I will say that right now in the Senate, I believe, or it's the House, there is something going forward that if a school district has property that is vacant, that, they have to sell it, they have to put it on the market. Now, we do have leases on several of our properties, so hopefully that would keep us from getting in a bond there. But it is something that is being proposed, and I just wanna be proactive and don't get ourselves in a situation where they're telling us we have to put it on the market. I think in our current fiscal, situation, which I must say is definitely turned around, I do say that we have to look at all possibilities. And putting that land, or getting, you know, proceeds from a land sale would put us in a lot better place. You know, I think we could sit here for 2 days and debate on which property, if we could, and leases were not an option, you know, take leases off the table. I think we could debate it for 2 days at least, of which one we all agree we should sell, because I think each one of us have a certain, you know, tie to a certain piece of property. When I first spoke to, you know, someone about the ball fields, you know, I said, you know, what would they be, you know, is it something they would even be interested in, the city of Moorhaven? Because that is a city ball fields, but it's, you know, the school district owns. We have a lease with them. There is, in the lease, there's some wording that we could get out of that. Do we want to? I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, one or the other. But it's a conversation that we have to have. It's just good business, to have conversations before making a decision behind closed doors. So I just wanted to put it out there, that if you hear anyone talking, or if maybe you get asked about it, I know we reached out to the county manager because of the I'm trying to think, structure, pavilion, thank you, that they are, they're going to be moving forward with. I just think that, you know, that we keep those community relationships positive and that we work together, and to do what's best. I wanna do what's best for all of Glades County, but the bottom line is I'm responsible for the school district. So, that's where I am with that, so if you do get a question. The next thing I wanted to bring up really quickly was, you had asked me, about the wording for the ballot for the,
Fiscal flexibility.
fiscal flexibility. Carla's gonna pass out, this is what I got from Mr. McKinley, concerning that. So, at least we have a start. And, if you wanna, I mean, not tonight, because I apologize, I just got this to you at this moment. But please, look through it, if you wanna make suggestions, or if you see something that you would like to change, let me know, and, you know, send me your changes, and I will forward them to Mr. McKinley, and at the next meeting, we can discuss. This is only an informational item for you at this time.
So the bottom of page 2 and the top 3 lines of page 3 are the words for how it will be on the ballot.
Yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road.
That's the, okay. And except for the numbers in this statement, this is exactly like it was 8 years ago?
Well, it's a little better. I'm a little smarter now than I was 8 years ago. I try to improve it a little bit along the way.
Okay,
But like I said, this is just for an informational item, and please look through it, and give me your feedback, because, we wanna make it the way you want it to say.
I have a question, Megan. Is there any way it can be longer than 4 years?
No, definitely. No, since we started on this adventure, really, 8 years or 12 years ago, the legislature has imposed some unpleasant requirements, the 4-year limit, and it's gotta be on the general election ballot, whether we like it or not. So, I think before we did it on the first primary, so it's aligned more with the budget process. But it won't be approved.
There's 2 more years.
well, that's what I was thinking, but I think what he meant was it'd be in the November,
Has to
not
be on
the,
November.
It'd have to be,
I know what you're
Not the
thinking.
presidential year.
Right, I did that too.
That's the one I consider general.
yeah, every other year and then November. Those are both general elections, one of them the presidential general. Right.
Okay.
You have to wait 2 years.
So it sounds like we're actually changing the amount of the tax levy,
Not if you read it, I don't think it does.
you know? Reduce its annual ad valorem tax levy
Reduce it, yes, and then
Yes.
increase it.
for capital projects and increase its ad valorem tax levy for operating expenses. I mean, I understand how it works, I get it. In my mind, if we're just able to move the money. As a taxpayer, I would think, oh, they're raising my taxes. Because it says, well, it says reduce first, so maybe they'll see.
Well,
That's
there's
what I was
limit.
thinking, when I see the word
That would be my
reduce, like,
argument.
yes.
If you use the word
I'll vote
reduce
for that.
first, I think we're in.
Maybe I'll say that, and I'll let this.
But it's not gonna change, for the record, it's not gonna change anyone's taxes.
Correct.
It's gonna allow us more flexibility between capital and general.
Correct.
And the board has done that for multiple years in the past.
Forever.
Well, he said it was only 12 years ago.
Well, 2 years that I have the blood on my hands for, 2 times.
Yeah, but we renewed it every time we could.
Patty, when you had your other attorney, did we have this?
Yes.
We had it
That's
for
what
a
she
long
said.
time.
Yeah, we've always had it,
Okay.
ever since I've been on the board.
Well,
And
we
this-
missed something, we missed it 2 years ago.
Yeah, we were remiss in not renewing it 2 years ago.
Not everybody knew we had to. They knew it.
To be honest with you, I really thought that it was for a longer, I thought it was longer than 4 years, and then, so I wasn't even thinking
It
about
has to be, whenever they vote on it, then it lasts for 4 years to, and then we vote on it again. It's reduced and then we put it right back. It's kinda like tolls, you know? They get it paid for and then they put it for a year and then they put it back and then do something else.
So what's the process? We need to get this on an agenda, we need to approve it as a
Right.
board. And then we get on the agenda for the county commission.
And then, there's, if you see it attached, there's a county commission resolution, which we prepared as a courtesy, right, just like you give the judge
Oh, nice,
an order.
okay.
And, then they adopt it
Then it
and
goes
send
on
it
the
over
ballot.
to Anitris, and away we go.
Okay,
It goes on the ballot.
what about our superintendent issue? Are we gonna try to do that at the same time?
I don't know about that. Is that on, is that,
I like to
are we doing
appoint.
that? Are we doing that?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Well, we
Y'all voted, we voted on it.
we voted to have that on the ballot.
You want that?
We voted as a board to have it on the ballot,
But I must have voted
For
against it, or I
the-
wasn't given.
I
voters
was the only one that voted.
to determine whether we would continue with an elected superintendent or.
I'm glad I know that. Okay. No, I didn't understand
Was
that.
that not your?
I believe it was
consensus, it wasn't a vote.
Consensus.
Oh, okay.
Does it need to be a vote?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally against it.
And does it need to be unanimous?
No,
Just a majority?
I would think it's just a
Simple
majority. Yeah, a majority of the board can set that process in motion, is my recollection.
So
I'm glad that-
since Dr. Barfield as superintendent generally sets the agenda, but we as a board came to a consensus that we would like to do that, then we would direct her to put that on the agenda?
You could request her, and if she wanted to go rogue, we'd have to go through the dance of whatever it is, 2 consecutive meetings or something like that. But there's a way to get around an obstruction superintendent. Don't get excited. We have to have a meeting where she explains why she's against it. Anyway,
Well, I wonder, something that I was wondering when I was thinking about that, can we do a workshop on it first? Because that allows people to come in and either give their pros or their cons, or one way or the other. And then, you know, I mean, here I am, I'm sitting here as a sitting superintendent. I mean, either way, I feel I'm okay. My concern is we have 3 board members up for reelection. And that concerns me.
And I don't know if everyone knows or realizes that an appointed superintendent, you have to pay a whole lot to get them to come in. An elected superintendent,
It's set by the state.
they're set by the state. We would have to pay a superintendent twice what she's making to get them to come.
I would wonder.
So that's why I would never,
be careful what you market.
said yes in a consensus.
I just would like, I think we should workshop it, I really do, if that's a possibility, because I feel like there's a lot that needs to be considered, and another thing that's scaring me are that a lot of districts that are appointed are now moving to elected, and so we would be going rogue as a board and going opposite everyone in the state. So I just have a concern, I think we need to workshop it and then hear from the community and hear what they say, and if there's a strong presence that yes, we need to do this, or no, we don't, I think we need to just keep it. And then how would that work? You would vote,
But before we go any further, please, may I interrupt?
Yeah.
I wanna know what the minutes said, because we took a vote. I remember that because I was uncomfortable but I voted against it.
I think Carla's right, but
Were we voting on
Look it
it?
up, but
it's
I
on
think
the agenda.
it wasn't on the agenda, so we were just talking about it.
I must
But
have
there
been here.
were,
Must have been
I
one
thought
of my
Patty was
surgery.
here, maybe.
Must have been one of my surgery days.
We'll.
Yeah, because, I mean, me as a board member have been confident in what happens with the superintendent because they are elected. And it's the general public that elected them to lead us, versus somebody that we as a board decide to hire and pay twice what we're paying. And then we get the public's backlashes when things don't go, versus, you know, hey, you guys voted, you know? It's much better, it's much better. An elected superintendent is much better for the school board members.
Well, the other thing is, and like Patty said, I'm just gonna throw this out there, that in our financial situation and many others across the state of Florida, I mean, we're talking about, you know, our fund balance being low, but then it's hard enough for me to, I mean, this is gonna come out probably not the way I wanna say it, but I'm gonna say it. It's hard enough for me to take my salary knowing that there's secretaries and people in our district that make, you know, a fraction of what I make, knowing what our financial situation is.
When I first got on the school board, there was a couple times that we had fund problems. I would say at least 6 out of the years, when Mike and Jen were here, we didn't take raises. We stayed the same. At least 6 times.
I actually remember that, I was sitting in the audience, and it was a state-approved raise for school board members, and I remember you voting not to take the raise. But it just seems really strange to me that, and obviously my memory is not great, but this conversation we had a few months ago, it was like we were all for it. And now I guess everybody's had time to let it percolate a little bit. And I thought you were for it at that time when we talked about it. So you're having second thoughts. Maybe that's what persuaded us, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure we talked about that you said, I'm not running again, And we said, well, if we make it appointed, we can keep you. You know, we had that long discussion, and obviously I'm wrong, we didn't vote on it, I thought we did.
We
But,
did a vote, there was a vote.
But it
I don't know what it
wasn't
was, because it was 4-1, or 3-1.
So anyway, do we even want to pursue it? It sounds to me like now,
Well, I'm still in favor. I don't know how you feel.
of putting it on the ballot, you're in favor of putting it on the
Yeah, I'd
ballot?
like the voters to make the decision what they want, if they want to switch or if they like it is. But I'm open to, I think we might have to call a public hearing instead of a workshop, I don't know, but
I don't remember, you got me cold on this one.
you know.
I don't remember the details of the process. I can get that information to you all, so we can have to think about.
But the thing about when you do have a public hearing, I mean, I would like, obviously, to hear arguments, and Patty makes a really good point, that the salary would be the biggest burden.
Conservatively double,
Yeah, but, you know, I would say we start with what we pay the current one, and there might be people that would accept that. I mean, we don't know that.
You get what you pay for.
Well,
Well, we've got a great superintendent now,
Yeah.
and we pay that.
And they're elected, and her salary is set by the state, so it's a whole different thing.
but anyway, I mean, I would be in favor of doing a hearing, but the thing that concerns me sometimes, and when this issue came up before, as it came up, when we were first elected, and the boardroom was full of people that were against it, and as a board member, we just have to be careful that, you know, 10 people show up to voice their opinion, but there were 500 that stayed home that have the opposite opinion. You know what I mean? Like they told us that at the Florida School Board Association, that,
It's
you know,
big
just
deal.
because some loud people show up to your meeting, don't forget your constituents that are at home or that are okay with the way you're doing it, and that's why they didn't show up. You know,
The squeaky
You know, I
wheel
think-
yes,
So someone, a very, very wise friend of mine, and has been in politics his whole career and has been a superintendent of schools, he's been sheriff, he's been a couple of things, said to me, this was about a year ago, or it was about 2 years ago, was when everything was going on with the police, Wichita Electric Grounds. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible, and all these people, and he goes, how many people are commenting? And I go, like 10. And he goes, how many people are in Glades County? And I was like, oh, there's like, 8, whatever. And he's like, exactly, because you can't let a very small fraction of people, you're hearing from the loud ones, the ones that are, keyboard, they're on the keyboard, and they can go in there. So I just think the reason I'd like to have a public hearing is because if there are people that are truly passionate about this issue, then let them come forward and let them have that and give their reasons. Let them, kind of hear the reasons why you all are wanting it or you're not wanting it. And then we go from there. And then the following, then we will have a board meeting and I'll put it on the agenda one way or the other.
So,
And I'm not saying I'm not for it or I am for it. I'm just saying a month or whenever we talked about last, I was,
you were for it.
I know, but I'm saying now, I got thinking because
you evolved on the issue.
yes, there you go. I have
We
three
let it
board members.
percolate, right?
Right, I have 3 board members that are up for reelection. And that changes the dynamics of the board.
right?
No, you, Kim, and Patty.
I'm
We're
retired.
up in November?
Well, I think the point she's making is there can be a board with 3 new people that might not even want that.
September. With her.
How long have you been on the board? Is this your 3rd or 4th year? Yeah, you're up for re-election.
And you and I are the same year.
I thought she was this year.
Larry.
We're the only presidential year, the rest of you are governor year.
Garfield are together.
And I've always loved that I wasn't a presidential year.
So back to the meeting or the public hearing or whatever. I don't think we need to call a special meeting or advertise a special time. I think we can make a public hearing part of our regular meeting agenda. We can add that to an agenda, a public hearing, I believe.
I just looked it up in the old law book, I don't think things have changed. The legal requirement is that we adopt a formal resolution that looks about like the confusing village resolution that I heard.
Right.
With the ruffles and flourishes, same process.
But if
County
we,
tells the supervisor to put it on the ballot.
if we want to open it up to the public for discussion, we can make an agenda item, a public hearing
Or
to.
public discussion or how, whatever, whatever seems.
We can do that the year before you retire too, it doesn't have to be this time.
That's true.
But it would have to be in an election year.
Or, yeah,
If it
We can
wasn't
make
this
the,
year.
we can make the rule or the ruling, and then it would have to go on the next voting time. And we can make that rule right now.
But then that would mean she would have to run in the next election because it wouldn't be
Right. It
established
either
yet.
has to be on 2026.
That's why I said we can make the rule, we can make that rule a year before she retires.
But it can't go on a ballot a year before she retires, and if she doesn't run again, her term is up in 2028. If we don't put it on the ballot in 2026, the next opportunity is 2028, which is too late.
Well, no, she'll be retiring, and there'll be 4 new superintendents.
Somebody else will have already run and been elected in that election.
right, so they'll get their 4 years with those withdrawal.
Yes, and that was why when the issue came forward the first time, Dr. Barfield had just taken office. And to me, it was disrespectful towards her to come up with that idea right after someone gets elected. You know, it's kind of a slap in her face. And so for that reason, I was not for doing it then. I still like and appointed, but I felt like that was just way too personal and I wasn't gonna be part of that. But with the situation we're in, where she says she's not gonna run again, it's not personal.
Right.
It's a change in policy and if we put it on the ballot, it doesn't matter what we think. All we are allowed to decide is whether to give it to the voters or not. We're letting them decide. If they don't want it, it doesn't happen.
That's right.
So it's not like we're saying we're imposing this on the voters. We're just letting them decide what they wanna do. If they wanna keep
Well,
it
if they want
appointed,
it, then they gotta figure out how we're gonna pay for it.
or if they wanna keep it elected, which a lot of the crowd that showed up that night wanted to keep it elected, because they felt like that, you know, gave them more of a voice to have an elected superintendent, I understand that. And that's certainly, you know, I don't know, I just would like to give the voter the choice, but. So we can either do a public hearing, or we can just add it as an agenda item and advertise it, that we're gonna be talking about it at the meeting, right? And then we don't have to advertise the public hearing, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes,
And that's what I would like to do.
That's the simplest. But we need to hurry.
We just need to get it maybe on the next meeting agenda, a public hearing to discuss the possibility of.
Well, I don't think it has to be help me, Mr. McKellar, it doesn't have to, if we call it a public hearing, we've got to advertise that separately.
yeah, that's confusing. It's confusing because we use public hearings when we adopt policies, you know, do our budget and all that, but you can, I would call it something like a public discussion. You know, the people are invited to speak and, you know, we maybe not limit people to 3 minutes, depending on how many people want, you know, whatever. You can open it up more and.
At a regular meeting.
At a regular meeting,
So we're
yes.
just gonna advertise on social media or whatever,
Yeah,
hey, this is gonna be on
there's
the
gonna be a
agenda, if y'all wanna
discussion at the
come.
next meeting about the elected superintendent, if you have an opinion on that, comment on that.
So it'll be a discussion item.
Yeah,
We can talk about it right now, they're listening. We're gonna have it on the next agenda, or an agenda in the near
If
future.
it's a discussion item, we can't take action on it at that time, is that what you want?
Because like, I wanna say publicly again, I have not made any decisions. I haven't made a decision if I am running, if I'm not running, if I'm retiring. I mean, I can retire in a couple of months, and I'm not going to at that point. I could, depending on where I'm at, where
We can finish
Steve's
your term.
But what I'm saying is, I think that we need to hear everything, and then I wanna do some more research. I think you all need to do more research as well, and then we can make our decision. And then what I would do is after the next meeting, then I would put it on the agenda for the following meeting, if that's okay with you. I have one more thing, and then, I would like Wendy Mullins to please come up. I asked her to share with you all, and Katie Branch, to share with you all some information on our virtual school. I think that you'll be very pleased to hear.
I did not hear you.
Katie has handouts for you guys,
Okay.
let her get those passed out before I start.
Well, while she's passing out, I want to thank Katie for taking care of the district cat. I was driving by here on a Saturday morning and she's unlocking the gate. And I said, can't you know it's Saturday? And she said, yes ma'am, but I'm here to feed the cat.
Maria gets them during the week, I get them on the weekends.
Did you have that?
Have y'all ever heard of an automatic feeder?
Oh my
I think it
gosh.
attracts a little,
If it's
We're trying not to attract
The day that it was so cold before I had my little stumble, I was sitting there trying to get her, you know, whatever it is, I'm shooting, but I get it.
What's the cat's name?
It is in Hungary.
It was mustache.
It's Diop.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause a delay in the meeting.
Her and, Maria Artis also built a shelter for the
I
friends.
Have fun go out there.
because it was cold and it was raining, I felt bad.
Maria feeds it during the week, Katie, I think, double feeds it, and then on the weekend.
Do we have a lease on that property?
Okay, so, Katie, I think you should come sit in. As you all know, when I came on, Mr. Boyles, handed this virtual school to me, and it was rather small, we had 20 or 30 students. We average anywhere, I'm gonna say our average is 100, the enrollment goes between 80 and 140, and it's constantly changing. And as we have been paying closer attention to our budget, we wanna make sure that this virtual school is in fact making us money and not costing us money. So, Katie gave you 2 packets. The one with the Excel chart on the front is for last year's virtual school profit. At the top, the total FTE generated, $501,321. Then you have the amount,
Oh, this,
yes ma'am, sorry. So that's how much money the virtual school made, and these are final numbers, because this is last year and all the surveys are in and done. Then you have an invoice for Imagine Learning in the fall for $135,620. Just so you know, $26,675 of that were classes that were provided at the high school, but the virtual school covered the cost of that. Then we have a spring invoice for $173,520. And then you have Katie's salary plus benefits, but if you look underneath there, that's her actual salary. She is a teacher on assignment and she works year-round for teacher pay. And then in red, you see the profit after all of our expenses. So the way that we receive this money is twice a month in the FVFP. It's not one lump sum payment that comes. I've shopped around virtual companies, we are with the cheapest company. If we were to switch to Florida Virtual School, we would lose $450 per completed enrollment. And I don't think our students will be as successful with that format as they are with Imagine Learning that we use now. If you look underneath of that, we have a projection, a tentative figure. This is not finalized. This is how much money has been generated for fall of 2025. I cannot say that's a solid figure because with the virtual school, your calculations change at survey 2, survey 3, and then anything that was missed gets pulled in for survey 4 and 5. So I will not be able to give you a final profit for this school year until the end of July. But you're safe to assume that that top number is going to double That'll be the first semester and the second semester, and then you'll pick up a little bit more, and the costs are relatively the same, so we are anticipating even a much larger profit this year.
So you're saying that $434,123 is just for the fall semester?
Just for the fall, and so if you look on the back, or on the second packet she gave you, this is how you figure out how much money you make. There is a virtual school calculator, this is directly from finance in the state, and then the packet behind, the information behind that are the FTE counts for the virtual school. So we plug those numbers in. I plugged them in today from the fall, and that's where I got that 434,123. But I know that number's gonna be slightly bigger, because there are students who are coded in ESV certain ways, and I cannot tell you how much FTE they're going to generate until the end of July. So that is the lowest possible number for the fall that we've already generated for next year. And the payments are always lagging. So the money that's coming in now in our FEFP is what we made in 24-25.
How much, what's the number to the account?
We are, last year, your average enrollment was 100 students. This year, we're around 108. Just so you guys know, out of the 108, 35 of those are out-of-county students. So that's FTE that we would not have generated if we had those students in our schools. And Tara brought up a point to me earlier that I'd like her to share.
Yeah, so I had a CTE faculty meeting this week, and they explained to us that the application for the scholarship process opened on February 1st. So between February 1st and February 10th, just the first 10 days of the application being open, 300,000 applications were submitted for scholarship. And so the common theme is options. Parents are wanting options. And so, I mean, I
So
think
we're averaging around 100 families who are saying, we want our children at home, we don't want to homeschool them ourselves because we don't feel comfortable with that, but we'll use your program. So if we did away with this program, that would be 100 families that you may lose to private schools rather than keep
But
them
are
in.
they getting the voucher, the
They do
homeschool
not.
voucher?
They do not get the voucher.
So say the sentence you just said, they're homeschooling, you said that
There
they're
are parents who want
that.
to keep their children home. They have not applied for a scholarship. They want to keep them home, they want to provide them with an education, but they don't want to have to look up the program, apply for the scholarship, teach the coursework themselves, and/or put them in a private school. So this gives those, on average, 100 students a way to stay within our district, to play our sports. And also, as of now, unless legislature changes in the future, they do not count against our district grade as far as testing, they don't count for or against.
So these, and you say there's how many that are not identified as homeschooled, that are using our services? Because why would the parent not, why would they not get the scholarship and get the cash in their hand?
If they, this is a public school, so you can't get the scholarship.
No, but if you're
And-
homeschooled, you can.
If you're homeschooled, you can, but a lot of parents come in here and go, I don't know how to homeschool, I don't know how to find a program, can you help me? So they're not going to apply for that scholarship because they don't know how to homeschool their children,
Crystal,
whereas
I think you're thinking homeschool that is not public, like where they pay. But if
How
they
can they
want,
get a scholarship to homeschool their children of $8,000? Why would they not take that?
Excuse me.
because
If a parent applies for the scholarship, they are responsible for educating their own child. There are a group of parents who do not want that responsibility, so they sign them up for our virtual school. Because technically, when they get that scholarship, they're supposed to be spending it, and there's accountability that they spend it on a program.
you do.
I don't, as a parent, I don't wanna have to find a program and homeschool my kid. But I do want them to stay home with me, so I'm gonna enroll them in your virtual school.
Yeah, I just didn't realize there were so many people that fit that criteria because most homeschoolers, in my experience, want their own curriculum. That's why they're homeschooling. They wanna do a Becca or some of that. They don't want the public school curriculum.
You just haven't been hearing from the
Some-
other side, cause
Some of
I've
them
known,
just
I've known
want,
about this.
Ones that I know that are doing it just don't want their kids to come to public
they
school.
just don't want them in school,
Exactly.
but
Or
they don't
sometimes the
feel.
kid doesn't wanna be in that year or
Right.
something.
We also have a large population of kids who feel bullied or who don't wanna attend face-to-face. We have been working with the high school with students that have truancy issues. If they're not able to come to school, but they're able to succeed in our program, then that's a way to keep them moving through successfully graduating and returning a profit. So I think it's a very good program. I think as long as it continues to turn profit, that we need to move forward with it.
Okay, I have a couple more questions. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Okay, so, is this program, let's say I'm homeschooling and I'm getting the voucher from the state. Can I enroll in our homeschool and pay you for the courses?
We do not have that set up yet, but it's something we are working on.
Yeah, I mean, it is, we have it going on. We have it set in motion, but we haven't spoken specifically about the virtual option. They can still do that.
They're doing that in person,
Yes.
but they're not doing it virtually yet.
Right.
Cause that's who I thought these virtual kids were. I don't know, because you said they're not our students, or did you mean to say they would be called homeschool, but they're not homeschool, they're our
They're
student?
ours,
Yeah, but there, you said there was only 6 that weren't Glades County.
36.
35. Out of 100.
35, sorry.
So my other question was, and then I'm gonna give up the floor, on the sheet, up here you say for last year, the income was 500,000,
Yes.
and half the year is 400,000?
Yes.
Why is
We
that
can
so
attribute
much more?
that to the growth in the program, us removing students who are not completing, so you're not taking a hit. And then the biggest, is how things are reported in Skyward and go to the state. Last year, I was new in that position, so there's a way to schedule to maximize your funding. You have to make sure all of your ESE students are coded correctly in Skyward. Those boxes were not always checked. This year was a fine tooth comb. It was a year of learning.
So you're gonna more than double what we made last year?
Unless all
Almost.
100 of our students decide not to complete their coursework.
And I said that was my last question, but I thought of one because in the last meeting when we were talking about this, the FTE date count came up and you said you were dropping them after the first semester.
Yes.
And we were finding out that other districts are waiting till after FTE count to drop them. I know that's playing the game, but
It is.
if everyone else is doing it, why aren't
But
we?
I think that would be a disservice to the student to say, I'm gonna start you in classes for January. I'm gonna kick you out in February after I've made my money off of you. When you can just say at the end of December, you did not complete, this is not a good fit for you, we need to find you another option. And we just wanna keep the students who are successful in the program. And we work with them, really, Katie hounds them to no end to get them to
So
complete.
I'm gonna talk to you later, cause that didn't get in this thick skull, like, why that would be a disservice, like, couldn't you give them a warning in January? Hey,
No.
we're gonna let you stay
So,
one more
if-
month, but if you don't turn in any work in this month, then you're out. I
If
don't
you have any
understand.
warning them cause you have
So
already,
they
for
haven't turned-
October,
They haven't turned in any money, any
you've
work.
already lost, so when they had their first FTE count, the first in,
And they were here,
in
and they got
October.
counted.
They were here, but they didn't complete, you've already lost all the money you spent paying for the coursework. You did not make $1 off of them. So they have already hit you for several $1,000s
So it doesn't make it worth it to keep them and let them hit you.
Cause how much, kind of tell them exactly how much, approximately.
Approximately $1,500 per student. That's not counting her time, her effort, that's just the coursework fee.
All right, well, if you got, if you don't think that's a good strategy,
I don't,
trust your judgment.
I think if they're not successful, and usually we don't drop them until we've given them multiple chances.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here like,
I don't wanna drop them all
I
and keep
call
them,
them,
I want them to finish.
they don't answer, they don't.
If they're completing 3 or 4 courses, we're hanging on to them. If they're completing 0 and we can't get them on the phone, then we've got to cut our losses.
Thank you, like, oh, sorry, Pam, go ahead.
Any other questions for, thinking David?
I try to read everything that comes in my email from the state, the school board association, everything. Sometimes I just simply skim it. But with the last, with a lot of what I've been reading, they've been saying that the FTE amount is going down. Okay, so your predictions, are they based on a decrease in FTE?
This calculator is based on the FTE for third calculation, so what we currently, the most current data that we have.
Okay, because it's behind, so we know, like, we know what the rate is this year.
Well, these numbers are from the third FTE count, but I plugged in from the second FTE. So this is the minimum you will get.
Okay.
And I'm gonna look for it to go higher.
I think our numbers went down in the third, is what he's saying.
Right, well, then, if you look on the top of this, it says, based on FEFP third calc. So you have to, before you fill this in, you have to plug your district number in, it's specific to each district and how much money you made.
So that was based on third calc.
It was based on third calc, yes, but I plugged in only second calc students. Because we don't have our third calc completers yet.
Because it lags. Even though the third calc is in, your data that is gonna be added to fourth is not in.
Right, and the third calc is in, but it will be updated between now through April. So just because it's in, it's not final. And then we do calc 4 and 5, we start in June and July, and we don't have a final number on that until the end of July,
Third
sometimes
calc,
August.
it only tells us what our monthly check is gonna be for the next, till the next calc, is that correct? So when the third calc comes out, we get the payment adjustment.
Right.
That's why it's important, and the payment adjustment went down from the second count.
By roughly $47,000 twice a month.
It went down by 4,700
Roughly 47,000 twice a month,
times 2, so 100 grand
a month.
a month.
Due to
Fewer students,
the students,
45 fewer students, correct?
I don't know which student went.
I'd have to look at the number there, but the adjusted net FEFP dropped by $474,116 or something like that, and we have 10 FEFP payments left. So you divide that number by 10.
Someone told me it was 45, I forget who it was.
It's
45
47 and
students.
change.
I think it's 47.
Yeah.
Not 47,000, but 47 change. 47 and change.
Now, remember me asking where did we lose 45 students in the last meeting? Does anybody remember that? And you said it was probably from the virtual kids that you took out. Okay, thank you, because they're looking at me like I'm crazy. We lost students, that's why in the third count, when they did FTE, we were down by 45 students from the previous count.
but they were costing us money.
Right, and that's why I was asking them, should we have
They
kept
were, no, they were costing us money because we were paying for them and they weren't doing their work.
Right, so, but going back to what Larry said, FSBA is telling us, we need to find out where our kids are going and why they're going and fix it. You know, that was the last webinar I was in with them.
That's always been a struggle.
You've got to look at your third count, figure out how many kids are gone. Do your exit interviews with your students, find out, is there a leak somewhere in your district, and if there is, fix it.
And I only have one thing to say, and then my comments are over. Today, Mr. Progressive and I interviewed, for the director of ESC, and I'm very happy to announce that we had, I think we had 6 or 7, candidates, and it is going to be very difficult because they were, out of all the positions that we've had in the district since 2020, since I was first elected, this is going to be the most difficult because we had some outstanding candidates. And I really like that all of them were very passionate about students, especially our most vulnerable, which were our ESC students, but that they all had a very good knowledge, an excellent knowledge, good's not even a great word, but of the processes, and so we've got some hard decisions to make.
Are any of them local?
Yes,
Cause that would be something that I would wait.
that's all I have.
All done?
I'm all done.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to 10.1, board member comments and business. We'll start down there with you, Ms. Gray.
Oh gosh, I have a lot tonight, but I'll try to talk fast. I did wanna let you all know that I have been emailing Mr. Carlisle, copying Dr. Barfield, asking about the impact fee status. He did get back to me finally, and I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow afternoon at 3. It is not with him, but it is with the person who prepared the study, and she's gonna go over it with me and tell me what it would mean to the school, and I wanted to, first of all, invite Dr. Barfield, if you're free tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I just found out yesterday about this. And I don't know if any other board members should come or not.
It smells like a meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's no sunshine there.
Yeah, there is a,
Well, you'll be in the dark if we're not all there.
well, I mean, a conference call or whatever it is, that counts.
Okay, so what I'm saying, I'll bring a report back and let you all know, I'll get some copies of the materials and bring it back to the next meeting and let you all know I'm just so excited that they've got it done. The study is done apparently, and that's what they're gonna show. And you, if you're ready. I did sit in a meeting with Scott Ward with FSBA the other day. Were any of you able to sit in that?
I did not.
It was really good, but you know the economic report you went over with us, Dr. Barfield, he went over the same thing with us. And he wanted to point out that a lot of the student decline is related to lower birth rates. And he said that more than once. And so I think all across the state, there's fewer babies being born. So even without vouchers, our student population numbers are going down, it's trending down.
But there's more moving in Florida every day.
True, should counterbalance that, right?
But they're all old.
Maybe
Maybe they'll be no grandkids.
That's true. I'm fine, so I'm fine.
You should cook the lights for them.
We need to, the 60-year-olds were raising the
Yeah, so few are.
I'm raising mine.
Some of those. I also want to let you all know, they did a meeting out in News, earlier this week about, there's a group that is interested in looking at single-member districting for our county, and they're trying to start, a movement towards that. And the statement was made, by Mr. Stanley that, well, I don't know how the school board feels about that. So they're gonna try to get that apparently on their ballot, on our ballot. And so I guess we need to have a discussion if we want to piggyback on what they're gonna say. In other words, if they put it on the ballot that the county commission is gonna get single member districting, do we want the school board to have people to vote on that? So, because Ms. Farnham does not want them to be single member and us to be countywide, because that's gonna create a nightmare for her in the election process.
Well, let me tell you about history in single family or single
District.
Single member.
member district. The majority don't win in the district. So it's not advantageous to someone to have a single district and not have the whole county be able to vote for them.
Right, but my question is, and I don't really know how I personally feel about it, I studied it, my students studied it, and there's lots of pros and cons for both ways on that.
I'm
But what
very
I'm saying
lucky,
is-
I'm very lucky to do as well as I do, especially with most of Buckhead, their kids go to Okeechobee, they're old, like Jean said, and you know, I mean, back when we had the last auction, they came, you know, just for entertainment, so I knew a lot of them, but I don't know them anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, you know, history shows that single family or single member districts don't win in the districts.
So anyway, Mr. McKinley, what should we do about that? Should we try to piggyback with them? Should we just ignore it and wait for them to come to us? I mean, I don't know what, when I heard that, I was taken aback
Let me
because,
study up on that. I don't think that there's an option to have one district as an island.
I don't
Everybody, I don't think that'll.
I think it has to be the same, the
Yeah,
whole county
it's gotta be
has to
single member
agree on it.
district county.
I actually read the statute on that.
Yeah, they have to agree on it.
Is the group that's doing it in use, are they doing it for the commission? I thought.
yes, county commission.
That-
And Tim was giving the presentation, so apparently,
The county commissioners are doing it?
yes.
Okay, I thought you were saying there was a group that was starting this, that they were doing it.
Well, he was giving them a presentation about it, and I think they asked him to give the
And he was in
presentation.
favor?
I don't know. But
Yeah,
it's probably
he's-
gonna be on the ballot.
What?
Is Tim in favor, do you know? Just, I haven't spoken to him either, so I don't know.
So, Mr. McKinley, did you mean that you don't think the county commission can go one way and we can go another?
No, that wasn't what I was saying. What I was saying was Muse couldn't have its own island of a single member and then the other districts be county.
Oh, no, it would be the whole county, it would
Yeah.
be single member.
Right.
But the question for us, I guess, is would we wanna be the same way they are?
I think
or-
it has to be. I think that's the way that it, if you ask Alicia's, she knows. She knows the answer right up to that, and I think it has to be that way.
I don't
Because
think it does, or she wouldn't have been concerned.
Yeah,
It doesn't. And I've been at several events, I've been at several different communities where it's brought up, and I would ask about school board, and nobody in the audience cared.
about school board.
No, single member district, you mean?
No, yeah, about school board being,
General.
right, that was not their fervent desire.
Yeah, so if the county moves forward with it, Alicia's will probably come to us and ask us.
So she thinks she way out.
I mean,
I would say that we don't do anything until she
Someone-
comes to
okay.
us.
all right, I just wanted to let you all know it's out there, people are talking about it. Maybe be studying it on your own. I was approached by someone, I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. Barfield, in your, presentation about the city ball fields. And what I was told is they are extremely interested in buying. They have, it's either some grant money or an excess in their capital improvement fund. And their understanding is they need 2 appraisals. And their question to me was, have you all had an appraisal? And I didn't think that we had, have we? Okay. Because they were going to wanna use our appraisal if we already had one, and then they only had to do one. I think that, like you said, it would, maybe we need to do a workshop about our properties and which pieces we wanna sell, because I think if we said today that we were ready to sell that, they would jump on it, buy it for appraised value.
I think we would be really foolish to sell anything that borders us. It take us something the furthest away. Because once everything starts going here, it's gonna grow and we're gonna need everything we got. Unless you got something that's 10 miles away.
The easiest piece is the D&D parking lot. When we purchased that, we asked our CFO at the time, or the consultant, did we have the money to purchase it? And we were told, she said yes, that we did have the money to purchase it. And we had the money, and so we purchased it. But that piece is not a piece that is, number one, it doesn't have a lease on it. Number two, it's not something that's been on our books for 20, 30, 40 years. There's no community ties to that piece. So that piece is a clear piece that we could sell tomorrow if we had to. My only thing is just starting the conversation. I think that caused a little bit, some ruffling, and I understand. But at the same time, we had to start discussing it because that's just what you do in business practice. I think we have to keep all of our options open. And the option also is that we don't sell anything. If we don't have to sell anything, I don't wanna sell anything. I think financially, that's what we need to do. But I think long-term, when we're looking at where our fund balance is and where we're projected to be, it's looking good for us. However, I think we need to keep all of our options open. It's just like, when I call Wendy and when I call Mr. Raybach, or when I drive Orpha and, crazy, asking them questions, what does this look like? I mean, constantly I'm questioning, what if we did this or what if we did that? I mean, I have to ask those questions. If I just went and just didn't ask, then I'm not doing my job. I'm asking those questions because I've got in my head, and I explain this, and you all know, my dear friend Denise is superintendent in a very large county. When they're cutting people, it's not it's a concern, it's an issue, because they care about people. But when I cut people, or when I cut a position, I have to look at that person in the face every day, because I might, run into them at the gas station, or I might run into them. It's personal, this is my community. But and I said this, and I got criticized 5 years ago for saying it. Glades County is not an employment agency. And we have to operate in our means. School vouchers did not put us where we are financially. Did it contribute? Absolutely, but it didn't make us go negative in a fund balance. So, I think that as a board, you asked me to be fiscally responsible with the funds that our taxpayers provide to our district to run, and I have to do that by asking questions, and they make people uncomfortable because, God forbid, that we talk about possibility of selling something, or because that's not what the status quo would do. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do to get an informed, when I come to you, and I think that you all need to know this, and I know you know this, but I want to say it for the public to hear. When I come to you and I present something as a recommendation, I've done my homework. I don't just come out here willy-nilly and say, hey, I want to sell 14 acres, and, I've thought it through 15 times. I've questioned my directors, I trust them. So, I think that the next step is to kind of what you said, do a workshop, and let's have a conversation about, what the appraised value is. I know, Brian, Carl, and I we've looked at the appraised value on the property appraiser's website. We pulled all the contracts, and the leases, because as you all know, we have several multiple year leases. And so it's even, why have this conversation if we can't touch those properties that have leases on them? So I think that having a workshop would be a wise thing to do. I think you're right about that, 100%.
And I think that the consideration of that Mike talked to us about a while back, in that depending on the year you purchase the property determines where the funds that you receive for the property can go. And that's the downside of the parking lot, because we bought that with capital, so that would have to go back to capital, was my understanding.
But
If you make the profit off of it.
It would go back into capital, but then we could pull things out of capital, we could reimburse the general fund.
You said it's just the profit that has to, that the actual price you paid at the original sale is what goes back to capital and your profit can go to general?
I think I'm right about that, let me,
Okay.
let me
Because that would
make
make, if
sure.
we're gonna sit down and we're gonna look at all the properties, we need to know that. Because our focus right now is getting general back up. So if we can make a big profit and that can go in the general, then
Correct.
great. But the ball fields were probably bought before that law came into effect, before that year cut off. And so that whole sale could probably go into general. So that needs to be part of that conversation. And for me personally, I'd like, if we are gonna consider selling something, it'd be awesome if we could get it done before the end of this fiscal year. That would be advantageous,
So would you like me to work with Carla to plan maybe before
I
next
would,
board
I
meeting?
mean, I don't know about the rest of them.
Well, that would be beautiful if they felt that way, but I don't wanna be hasty and mess up anything.
No,
I'd like to know what properties are available.
Okay.
Without
We
these-
could have a workshop.
yeah, I'm not asking to vote on anything, because I think we're far from that, but
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, Dr. Garfield, about the property at Washington Park. At the last meeting, you said the county manager had asked you about building a pavilion, and there were a couple of us on the board that were leery about them doing that, and so I'm wondering what was your response to the county manager, and, where are we at in that? Are they gonna go ahead with their pavilion? Were they told that we might sell that property and here they just put a building on it, I'm just concerned about that.
okay, so let me give you some history, and, I met when we offered the playground equipment to the county, the county sent Archie Branch, who is over the road department, and I don't know, what is his title?
Road department.
Supervisor.
Okay, so they sent Archie, and Archie came, and in this conversation with Archie, nothing had been said about selling Washington Park or anything, and at some point in the conversation, I said, well, we would like to sell it or something, and Archie was like, well, gosh, we're putting up a pavilion, and I was like, what are you talking about? We did not know. And so Archie said, well, I'm gonna go, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go back and tell Mr. Carlisle about our conversation. I said, absolutely. Archie was just trying to be helpful. So he went back and had a conversation with Mr. Carlisle, and I think the conversation kind of went like, hey, I think maybe something, there was a conversation not held. It wasn't a I gotcha or anything negative. Mr. Carlisle, February 17th sent me an email, because he called me, he called Dan Thomas first. And then they spoke to me and we said, yes, that it is something we were considering, kind of went the whole thing about, we're looking at, what properties we have, that whole conversation. So February 17th, he sent me an email and it says, I wanted to follow up on our conversation last week regarding the installation of 30 by 40 pavilion next to the existing playground in Washington Park. This pavilion was something that the Board of County Commission approved prior to my coming back to the county. I did not know that you were not advised of this project until last week. You've indicated that you did not have a problem with the construction of the pavilion, but I wanted to make this a formal request to construct the pavilion. Please advise that this is approved or not as soon as you can, as the contractor is pulling the permits and has a deposit on the structure. Thank you for understanding regarding the issue. That conversation was held before, the board meeting, when you all said, well, I don't know that we want to build the pavilion. But I think that's,
Did you reply and tell him to go
I
ahead?
have not replied to the man.
Okay.
Because for a couple reasons, number one, if, if they're building that pavilion, if they build this pavilion and we sell it, it's gonna make our property, it is gonna make our property worth more. And if we sell it, they would wanna purchase it because they have an investment on it. I mean, I'm not trying to, I don't know that that's the correct way to do it, but, or should I say to him, hey, listen, we don't know what we're gonna do as a board yet, so don't build this pavilion. But then the residents of Washington Park, they don't get to have this nice pavilion. So I feel like I don't wanna stop progress if we don't know that we're even gonna sell that, or by looking at the contract, if we even can sell it.
I can't imagine that they could build something without coming to the owner and asking for permission to build it.
The party in interest is the county, so we can certainly sell it to the county. They're the ones who hold the lease, they had to,
I don't think they're wanting to buy it though, they're just wanting to build the pavilion.
well, under the lease, it says we've got to consent to what they put on there, which consent shall not be unreasonably withheld.
And in that email, was that what he's considering his request for permission?
Yes, he said that's his formal request.
So,
And that
now, in my opinion, now would be a great time to say, you know what, buy it.
And
And that property was a gift to us from the Tobias family. I don't know how long ago that was, but
I have not examined this
Was
title.
that belong to the school?
was that Gloria Reese's
Here's
parents that,
something in here is about it,
that donated that property to us to build the first school out there?
But there is a school out there. So we do have a school out there, and that's something that would have to be discussed at a workshop, that if we did sell it, would we want to keep the school? I mean, and that's a historical landmark as well.
But we could divide the property and sell the park where the playground equipment and pavilion is and maintain ownership of the school.
Right, and they have built a community building there also, already,
Whose property?
ours.
That's what I'm saying. How can we?
Well, we must have given permission for that a long time ago, because that's.
I didn't give them permission in the last 26 years.
Somebody did,
But see, that's what I'm saying. They're just doing whatever they want, that's our property. Well, they got permission from one person, because it was never brought to us in the board. We need
Well,
to be more aware.
that community center was built quite a while back. It's not.
10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, about 10 or 15 years ago, so who knows who gave permission. But, in the playground equipment, they probably wouldn't really need permission for that because it's not a building per se. The pavilion, we would need to give permission for that.
What would the county commissioners have to do with it? Are you saying county
They're
commissioners?
the ones paying for the pavilion.
They're the tenant too.
They're-
That's what the lease is with.
We have a long-term lease with the county.
Because that was, my next question was where would Washington Park get the money to buy the property? But if the county commissioners want to do it, then they need to buy it.
That's who would buy it.
That would
They're
be,
the ones
that
that
would
need.
be where we would go if we were in a selling frame.
That's the first sale.
Well, and like I said, I think we need to,
I don't want to sell the,
workshop this out.
the parking lot of the people because we use it for overflow.
Well, so are they holding off to build a pavilion? Is he waiting on you to say yes?
I don't know, I have not responded to his email. I've been in meetings and I'm
And
sitting
that's
on
just
that
been
time.
2 days ago.
My last conversation was he was waiting on your reply from that email.
So do you want direction from us on what to do with that? I mean,
Buy it.
Larry was I thought.
Huh?
We'll wait for you.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
We've been at the end of the meeting for an hour and a half.
I know.
Hold on.
All right, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I do wanna talk about module thing. We'll talk about after the meeting, the logistics of how to get there. And then the parade logistics, I guess we can talk about, after the meeting. So I'm done.
And, Ms. Clement?
I do have a couple things. I was questioning about the Washington Park and the city ball fields. I just wanted to ask if there's please any way to notify us before things like that are brought up at public meetings, so that when we do get those phone calls, it's not, he said, she said, we know the gospel before those phone calls start rolling in. I do have a question, you said the Senate and the House, it has a bill, do y'all by chance know that bill number? On if we have property that we would possibly have if it goes through?
Yes, I do.
I thought it was only we had to do inventory of our property.
Hold on. I just want,
It is.
I was just reading it in my email. Do you have it, Dr. Barker?
Let's see, it is 1013.28. Disposal of property under real property. And, it goes to, it's number 1 and number 2. And that came from I had reached out to Jessica, who is our lobbyist for the consortium, and she sent that to me. Now, I don't know if that's a strong bill, I don't know, but I think it's something that is in the horizon, and something we need to think about.
and it's just it's out there now that they're discussing.
Yes, ma'am.
The Brighton Field Days is this week and weekend, so if any of you are heading to Brighton, they have a huge festival that is fantastic for our community. The fishing tournament for Chalanika will be next weekend. If anyone wants to go and fish in the tournament and you win with the biggest bass and you have your Chalanika shirt on, you win an extra $100. And we just got our Chalanika books in, so I will be making sure that everybody got 1 or 2 letter decks. Yes, and if anyone is needing extra, I know we're all in order. So if you can help us pass them out, Mr. Lucky just pointed out that there's lots of history on each community that we have in there. I need to read that because I didn't realize that was in there. So that is happening. The Kids Day on Friday will be free for kids from the fishing tournament for Friday morning. Registration starts at 9, fishing tournament starts at 9:30. They then will go to the park and have activities sponsored by SWAT with Miss Teresa Coco, and Sky is also, Schluter is also helping with that, I think maybe FBLA. And they will have activities all free for the kids, lunch will be free for the kids as well as rides, not the carny games or anything like that, but the rides will be free from 11 to 4. After that, you will have to buy an armband. And yes, the 5K signups are available, vendor spots are available if any of our kids want to have a booth. The parade slots you can sign up on chalanikafestival.com or under applications. Well, the pancake breakfast, FBLA will be taking over that. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, I got so excited about telling you. Is it at the city park? Usually the pancake breakfast?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we get the pancakes while we're waiting in line.
Is that Saturday?
It's Saturday
It is,
morning.
yes.
We usually meet here, at 9:30. Do we know what vehicle we're taking?
Not yet.
Hey, Kim, what day was Brighton, the 28th?
Tonight, it starts tonight and it goes all the way until Sunday. Today's Thursday, right?
It starts tonight and goes till
Sunday.
Sunday.
so their big day is Saturday.
Yes.
The big day is Saturday with the,
Is that Swamp Cabbage also?
it is also Swamp Cabbage, so Saturday night, if you would like to participate in the Swamp Cabbage Rodeo, it's Friday and Saturday night. They would also love to have you there.
My boys will be there.
Can I do a little shout out while we're talking about that?
Go ahead.
My wife, Stella Lucky, is the Grand Marshal of the Swamp Cabbage Parade.
So that's all for me, I just wanna make sure if we can please have a little bit of communication before things happen at public meetings, that we have the gospel before gospel.
So I'm gonna clarify that, because I think maybe you were given a side of that I could see how it would be like if somebody left here and they went and said, oh, they were talking about they're gonna sell their ball fields. That's exactly what happened in the case you're saying. The person that I asked, just so happens, I'll say it, is my brother, he's the mayor. I had a conversation with him about, is that something that the city would, be interested in? Do you know financially? It was a conversation. He did what he was supposed to do, he took it in his city, not being in the sunshine, or in the shade, he said, hey, this was brought up to my, as a conversation. There was no, hey, it's gonna be, this much or whatever. That was it. And my brother did ask that if there was anything moving forward goes with the school, he doesn't want to be a part of it. Because number one, obviously, him and I, we are brother and sister, and it could get a little, it could be a not a good place to be. But number two, because if there's anything discussed in the city meeting, and gosh forbid anybody here says anything, it immediately goes a blameless place. And so, that's their situation, they have to deal with that, but I'm here to tell you, just like I have this whole meeting, that there are people that if I question, it's just like the other day, I said something to somebody about the fact that the Chalmette grounds, that contract, I mentioned it. I got a phone call, questioned me about, are you trying to sell the Chalmette? It was a conversation. We have to look at everything. So, people need to quit being so concerned about going behind people's back and being upfront and honest, and then they don't have to worry about this. I'll say whatever I want to say to somebody's face, and I'll defend what I'm doing. But it just, we are a public education that has been very blessed and fortunate. We have a lot of properties. We are very similar to a lot of school districts across the state of Florida that we are financially having some issues. I don't understand what people, so I guess what would be better for me to sit in my office and not make any decision and just no progress be made. Well, I'm not gonna do that, because that's not what I was elected to do. So if people have an issue with it, they need to come to me. They shouldn't go to board members and make you feel like you have to say something. I know that you're doing your job, and I appreciate that.
I just wanna know beforehand.
Yeah, well, I'm telling it now, so I hope everybody that's watching will understand. Everything we have in the Glades County School District is, we're looking at everything, every penny that we have, or any property that we own, we're looking at everything.
And that would come before the board before any decisions were made.
100%. I can't do it without going to the board, legally.
I refer everything to you.
That's what I stand on. But I get why you would bring that to the board, and I accept that 100%, but it's just so funny to me how, people don't have the courage to come and direct it to me.
Mrs. Pierce, nothing to share. Mr. Lucky?
Yes, I've been waiting my turn to say this. Dr. Barfield, you answered a lot, but you spent time answering things that I was gonna ask, because I too had a phone call this week, and it was a very above board, asked me questions, but the question was, what do you know about selling property? And I said, we've had discussions, but the only decision we've made is to start doing our homework. And the first thing is, let's find out what our property values are. I said, that's all we've done. There'll be a lot happening before we sell anything. So someone called, asked that, that's the answer I gave. Then the person said, if you sell something to the city, please keep in mind that if it's land the city has been leasing, that they have already paid for things that are on the property. And they've already obtained grants for things that are on the property that you might be selling to them. And I said, okay, I'm listening to you. And then he said, so I just think when a price is decided on, there'll be consideration about what has been put into the property by the person you sold. I said, I get that. I said, we will do our homework. And he thanked me, and I said that. I actually was glad he called and asked those questions. So then I was gonna ask you, but you answered most of it. The only thing I didn't hear you say was like, I don't know, when you procure funds through a grant, sometimes there are always stipulations about how long they'll last. So we need to do like, when you buy a piece of property, like you do a title search or whatever, we just need to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. And that's what I said, we would do what we need to do.
So my husband is a floral farmer, and we have our own property, but we also lease land. And when we lease land and we have a contract, and any improvements that we make on the land, they belong to the land.
That's right.
Period. If we go in and put, $200,000 worth of fencing, the lease is over, that fencing belongs to people that we lease the land from.
Or they might even make you remove it.
Or they might make us remove it. So I get what you're saying, and I appreciate that, and I think your job as board members is you're gonna get the complaints, but I just think that I want everyone to just take a deep breath and let's not rush this. No one signed anything, this was an inquiry, and it's all of a sudden turned into something so ridiculous. I appreciate you, in your comments addressing that. Like I said, I wanted to address it, I appreciate Ms. Clemens bringing it forward, and I think we just move forward. I think we're where we are.
Still my turn?
Still your turn.
Okay, I was almost finished, but I understood your reference, and I agree with that. However, the point that was made, and I'm sharing that, is city money, which was the people, have paid for things on the property. And now we're gonna be selling it, or will we be selling it to them? Will we be charging people more than once? That's why, that's the point that they were making. We don't think the people should be charged more than once for what they have paid for already.
But they've already paid.
Yeah, I get it. I just think the perspective needs to be put out there. I don't even have to agree with it. I just feel like it needs to be considered that those that have leased it have been the public, have been our constituents, not someone outside of our county. That's it.
So I have a question for you, just for the sake of questioning, I'll throw this out there. Let's say we get it appraised, and it appraises for $600,000, okay? I'm just asking, just kind of give me a nod.
County
Okay.
says.
I'm just saying, let's say,
I'm curious, is that where you got that?
No, I'm just saying, say it appraises for $600,000, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
And let's say the city says, well, you know what? We'll pay you $600,000. But let's just say Joe Blow from Fort Myers says, oh, I'm gonna pay you $2.6 million. Who are we gonna sell it to?
2.6 million.
I think you have to do closed bids.
I mean, I just want you all to know, there is so much more to this. That's what I'm saying. It's just a conversation. But get ready for that, because that's coming.
I think it should be as open as possible, very competitive.
I have a question too, within the lease, it actually, I believe, talks about that if we were to build on there, that would nullify the lease. And really, that would be, in my opinion, if we ever grew, that would be a great place to put a middle school. I mean, you've got, how many acres are there? I think there's 15 acres that are there. That would be, and now you have 3 schools are all close together. That's just my viewpoint. But when you start talking about this, if we were to build a school there and the city paid for those ball fields, would we have to pay the city back for
because they were
purchasing
used
that stuff
for the
on it?
last
I mean,
30 years.
that's kind of a question I have. I mean, that if they put that, like Dr. Barker was saying, if they put that on there, it's kind of, they're putting their, I believe they're kind of putting it on there at their own risk for their own
Yes.
use.
Exactly.
Because, well, the lease does say we could build on that property, I believe, you know.
You're talking about the Washington Park or the.
I'm talking about this piece of property, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the ball fields would be a perfect place, in my estimation, to put another school, if we were to add another school.
Well, we own that, we don't lease it.
Correct, that's right.
But they're leasing from us, so whatever they spend, they spend. When the time's up, then they can either take it with them or we'll do whatever we want with it. They got the benefits from it.
I'm done.
Okay, I don't have anything. So I will adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned.
Thank y'all for staying. Guys, it was 78 here.
Yes.